Hey MB fam, this is Deidre Dickey. It's an honor and privilege to introduce you to our newest cover feature. This cover feature is for our special edition, honoring men of God who have had lifelong achievements in their respective careers and fields. So it is my honor and privilege to introduce you to Pj Morton.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Beautiful.
The eyes are the window to the soul. So when you look at yourself, who do you see?
When I look at myself, who do I see?
Mm-hmm.
I still see the kid who just fell in love with music, who knew that that was going to be his voice, his weapon of choice, to get out a message of love, of God, and whatever else I was to communicate. I still see that little kid when I see me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So as a little kid, okay, what age? How old were you when you realized your
I
gifting?
always say 8. 8 years old is when I remember starting to mess around on the keys, and when I started to pay attention to songs. I feel like that 8-year-old PJ is like, that's the start of it all.
Mm-hmm. How have you not lost that 8-year-old? How do you keep your childlike wonder?
I mean, that's a great question. I really have to reset every time, like, remind myself of why I'm doing this, because it's easy and it can move quickly, especially in the music business. It can move so quickly, and once you find some success, then it's the pressure to continue that success. But sometimes I have to pause myself and say, listen, the thing that got you to this success was not doing that. So reset, and don't chase anything, but be present. And so that's sometimes a daily reminder, sometimes a weekly reminder, monthly reminder. But whenever I have to do that, get reset back to my purest form.
Yeah. How do you reset? What does that look like for you?
I mean, for me, it really is thinking of when I'm in that process. Sometimes you'll think of, oh, this is going to work on radio, or the marketing plan of this, or this how I'm going to sell this. For me, it's going back to, do I like this song?
Yeah.
Does this move me? Will it move my friends? Because I think of that too. When I was a kid, it's like I just wanted to play a lick that made my friends go, ooh, like that was crazy.
Yeah.
I go back to that kid of like, are my friends gonna be like, PJ, that was dope, and so it's that process for me.
I like that. Has there ever been an instance where you felt pressure to not be you, and that you can speak on that and how you overcame that?
100%. At many stages of my life and career, I felt pressure to conform. I mean, oftentimes it was, the latest version of it was, PJ, you could do whatever you want for the rest of the album. Just let me get this one song that's going to be on the radio. And that was very tempting, because it's like, okay, that's a good balance, But I always came back to myself and said, no, like even that, I want to be authentically me. And I wanted to say what I'm trying to say, and go back to the reason I'm doing this. And that's not to sell records. I mean, although I want to, I want that to be a byproduct of me making something beautiful, So that's definitely one way, asking me to just be different, to dress different from how all these types of things have happened throughout my career, and I fought it every step of the way, and listen, sometimes I may have been right, sometimes I may have been wrong, but what I can stand on is I was doing what I felt was right in that moment.
Yeah. Is there a version of PJ that you would like to go back to be able to tell him, like, no, you don't have to do it that way?
There was a time, I guess, right before I did, or right after my Young Money deal, when I signed the Young Money. It wasn't any pressure coming from any person. It was internally, because I was seeing all this success around me. Also, that the same time, a year before I signed the Young Money is when I joined Maroon 5. So I was seeing all this success around me, and I'm like, do I have to, maybe I should do this like this, or change that. And it wasn't coming from anybody, so I didn't know if that maybe was the pure me saying it. But I realized more and more, listen, those those things have their places and awesome. I'm connected to them. Great. But you know, let's I'm an individual for a reason. Let's continue to be that.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I'm trying to be the thumb, while the thumb is already taken, and we're not, we're being counterproductive. So I jump back to it.
Yeah. What's your favorite process of your creative process? Is it the writing? Is it the music? Is it the producing? What do you love about it? What's like the thing that sticks out for you the most?
Yeah, I like them all for different reasons.
Yeah.
They're kind of like kids, you know.
I
like
wondered.
Not picking my favorite kid.
Yeah.
Because the creative process of making something out of nothing will never get old to me. I mean, it's just like nothing exists, and all of a sudden you have this thing.
Yeah.
That but then you go and perform that on stage, and you see people singing that thing that you created out of nothing back to you, and you can't beat that either. So it's like picking the stage over the studio, or for me, they just play different parts. But I guess that the stage couldn't exist without that. So if I had to pick, I would say the creation process. And production and writing are kind of one and the same for me, because I've always been the writer and producer. So it's kind of like while I'm creating, I'm also thinking of how it's going to be produced, you know, while I'm writing it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all kind of happening at the same time.
So I was having a conversation with a brother of yours in Christ and a fellow music artist, and he said that he was curious what comes first for you, because you're known for your progressions, and he kept reiterating how much he loves your progressions. And he asked, he goes, for me, when I'm writing, the content comes first, then the melody. For you, when you're creating, what do you do first? What do you hear first? Do you hear the melody, or do you hear the words?
Yeah, I very rarely, maybe one time in my whole life, I heard the words first.
Really?
I mean, I'll get pieces of like lines or like titles that I want to come back to, and I'll write them in my notes. But it's always melody first for me.
Really?
Because I think Quincy Jones maybe said music first, but for me, sometimes I'll record my mumble, you know, and sometimes that mumble is trying to tell me what to say. So I think there's something innate about doing that melody first, because it's almost like speaking to you already. And then it speaks to you to tell you what words you're supposed to say to that. So that's often, that's my process more often than not, is melody first.
That's like some childlike wonder, like that faith, like you just... Fear's not learned there, so kids are just free and they just do and they just move. So that innate voice inside of you that just has that mumbling, that cry, that's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Paul McCartney when he wrote Yesterday, he was dreaming it, and it was scrambled eggs in his dream. Scrambled eggs, da 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 da, and then it turned to yesterday. You know, but that's very close to my process. It's like, what is it trying to say? You know, let me listen to what it's trying to tell me. So. So the melody is very, that's usually the leader for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your most difficult album to create?
My most difficult album to create? I guess I'd say Gumbo, because it was coming off of the Young Money album, where there were a lot of expectations, all these things, and I was getting out of that deal, and I was going to do another deal. And I just really wasn't feeling what was going on. It just wasn't. And I was like, okay, listen, I'm moving back home. I was still in LA. I was moving back home to New Orleans. And, you know, well, I didn't even want to do music at that point.
Really?
I was coming here to start a sneaker store.
Really?
And I saw that I was a leader all of a sudden. I didn't realize that I had always been the young boy. I was the youngest always.
Okay.
And what I realized coming home was, oh man, there's no voice or nobody that taps you on your shoulders to say, all right, now you're supposed to be leading. You know, I just saw that there was a need still that wasn't met when I left New Orleans, which was you know, the infrastructure in music, like. It's the greatest musicians in the world in New Orleans, but no music business. So that's why you usually have to leave to find success, and that's what I did. But coming back home is kind of like that need, and seeing that hunger from a lot of people started to reignite. Oh, I started to remember why I wanted to do it, you know. But I came home, and Gumbo was going to be my last album. It was like, I'm like, I'm just gonna do what I want to do without thinking about it, without any expectation, so it was difficult in that sense, of it being my last and me saying, all right, I'm done. I guess it was easy in the sense that I wasn't thinking about anybody else, but getting to that point was very difficult, of blocking everything out. You know, that's when I wrote that song Claustrophobic, because it was like it's so much, you know. But so getting to that freedom was difficult.
Yeah. What was your most favorite album to create?
Probably my first one, Emotions. Because I didn't know. I was, you know, I say now that at Gumbo I was willfully ignorant. With Emotions, I was actually ignorant. Like I just didn't know. I had no idea, and I thought if I make the best music, if I make the best thing that I can make, I'm gonna sell 500 million albums. And like what? Why not? Like,
why not?
Of course.
Yes.
Like, if you make the best stuff, then
of course,
people gonna hear that. It's like, I just didn't understand. That was so simple to me. And then, boom, reality set in, and it was like, oh no, you know, to get on radio, you might have to meet this person and know this person and pay that person and that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, you know. So it was like ignorance, but I made, you know, at that time the best music that I could make. Because I didn't care. I was just I was calling my, like, if I heard a certain bass line, I called that bass player and say, hey, come here, I want you to play it. Like, it was my dream. Yeah, it was my dream album in that way. And I say now Gumbo is my favorite album, but for the same reason. But it's like I chose to be ignorant at Gumbo. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, I have all this information, but I'm choosing to ignore that and just try to make the best thing that I could make. You know?
Love that.
Yeah.
I'd really do.